What is up, guys? We're back with another video, and today we're taking a look at this case right here, which is thermaltake's H700TG. Now, the thing I find really interesting about this case is there's not a ton of reviews out there, and it's like people really don't know about this case all that much, and it's really surprising because the case is under $100 and it has everything that you would want in a mid-tower, really. Of course, you have tempered glass side panel. Inside, you can actually support extended ATX motherboards. You have room for the longest graphics cards, all the latest hardware, all that kind of stuff. You can support 5 hard drives out of the box. Comes with 2 included fans, and you get some built-in RGB elements. And like I said, the case is under $100. So let's go ahead and take a look. To start things off, we have the white or snow version of the case here. Thermaltake is also going to offer it in black. Now, as far as the size of the case, I would say this is about the size of your average mid-tower. Like always, I'll go ahead and put the official dimensions, sort of like right here. The front of the case is pretty plain with just a Thermaltake logo towards the bottom. Now, there is a ventilation strip that runs down the front of the case. This is actually going to light up with RGB lighting, which we'll show you in just a little bit. Removing the front part of the case is extremely easy. Just pull on it from the bottom and it will just pop right off. Now, the cool thing about this is that you don't have to worry about disconnecting any wires or anything for that RGB element on the front. Thermaltake uses a simple contact system, so again, you don't have to worry about any of the cabling. Now, with the front bezel removed, we can see we have a included 120 millimeter fan. Now, this is a pretty basic fan that's going to spin at 1100 RPMs. Now, the front part of the case will support either 3 120 or 140 millimeter fans, as well as radiators up to 360 millimeters. Moving up to the top part of the case, we have a large ventilated section. This is covered by a magnetic filter. Now, with that filter removed, we can see that we have room for either 3 120 millimeter fans, 2 140 millimeter fans, or radiators up to 360 millimeters. Along the right side of the case at the top, you have all of your buttons and connections. You'll find a large power button, smaller reset button, a USB 3.0 port, 2 USB 2.0 ports, headphone and microphone connections, and a small R button. The R button is made to switch the different RGB effects on the front part of the case. The main side panel of the case, of course, is a tempered glass panel, which is going to allow you to show off all of your hardware inside. Attached to this panel towards the front is a metal handle, which allows you to open the panel up. The side panel opens just like a door as it's on a hinge design, and because it's on this hinge design, you can simply lift up on it to fully remove it from the case. The opposite side panel is just a plain white steel panel. Instead of the metal handle towards the front, you actually have a small piece of black fabric that when you pull on it, of course, it's going to open this panel up. This panel has the exact same hinge design, so you can easily remove it from the case as well. As we move around to the back of the case, we have a pretty standard design with a cooling mount at the top. Then we have our motherboard mount, expansion slots, some ventilation, and our power supply mount at the bottom. There's a filter that runs across the entire bottom of the case that you can pull out from the back of the case. And at the back here, we do have a pre-installed 120 millimeter fan. With the main side panel of the case removed, we can get a good look inside. This is a pretty standard 2-compartment design with a top compartment for your motherboard and expansion cards, and the bottom compartment for our power supply and storage. The case does come with a pre-installed GPU support bracket, which can be adjusted left or right as well as up or down to fit longer graphics cards. Now, we fully removed this from the case when we did our installation. Towards the front of the case at the top, there are 2 hard drive trays. These trays support either a single 3.5 inch or 2.5 inch hard drive, and they're also lined with a thick foam to cut down on vibrations. These are installed in a part of the case that actually supports up to 7 of these trays, so you can easily move the trays up or down or add more that can be purchased separately. As far as motherboard support goes, this case will support mini ITX, micro ATX, ATX, and even extended ATX motherboards. The motherboard tray does have standoffs pre-installed, and there are 4 large cable routing holes around it, with 2 of them having the rubber inserts installed. The two main compartments of the case are separated by a full-length power supply cover. This cover does have a cutout in the front if you wanted to install a radiator in the front of the case. The entire top section of the power supply cover is ventilated, and there are 3 cable routing holes built into it. There's also a cutout in the front to show off your power supply. Taking the opposite side panel off of the case, we can see how the rest of the case is designed. All of our cables here are nicely organized by the 3 included Velcro cable ties that are pre-installed on the case. On the back side of the motherboard tray, right under the CPU cutout, are 2 SSD mounts. These SSD mounts can be easily removed by a single thumb screw. Moving to the bottom compartment of the case, we of course have our power supply mounts. This does actually have built-in vibration dampeners. Also in the bottom compartment of the case, you'll find a hard drive cage with a single plastic tray. This tray will support either a 2.5 inch or 3.5 inch hard drive. Now, if you're not going to make use of this, you can actually remove the entire cage from the bottom of the case. When it comes to the RGB lighting, of course, we have the nice RGB strip here on the front. It looks really good. It's not crazy RGB in your face. Just gives you that sleek little elegant look, which I really like. Now, by default, you are gonna get the rainbow wave, which of course, people love, people hate, but that is the default setting. Now, what's really nice about this is that this RGB strip is pre-wired to a controller. With a controller, we can go ahead and change modes with a button on the top, which we'll show you, but you can also fully turn the RGB lighting off. You just hold the button for 6 seconds. That will turn the lighting completely off, but you can also pass through the RGB control to your motherboard's RGB software. So if you do have an RGB header on your motherboard, you can pass this through and control everything with your motherboard's RGB software. Now, if you're just using the button, we'll go ahead and go through different modes. So as I said, rainbow wave here, as you can see. And we have our first mode, which is a breathing mode. Now, a lot of these modes will just kind of just cycle through colors as they do the effect. So as the breathing mode is going, it's going through the different colors there. The next one is sort of like a phasing. So it's not so much breathing, it's more phasing, but again, it's just going through the different colors as it's phasing in and out there. This next one is sort of like a visor. I would call it like a visor type of effect here. Kind of just going through, you know, I kind of like this one. This one is a little bit different. The next one's real crazy, just moving up and down the light bar with a bunch of different colors here. As you can see, very fast effect here. This next one's very similar. Again, very fast effect, going through the different colors here and different effects throughout the light bar. This next one is sort of like a stacking effect. So it's gonna stack and then change colors, which I actually really like this one too. This one's a little bit different. And then we'll go to the solid colors and we can just cycle through solid colors. So again, here we have red, we can go to green, then there's blue, there's yellow, there's teal, there's purple, there's white, and then we go back to, of course, the rainbow wave. Before we get into testing, here's a full breakdown of all of the hardware that we use in our case system. For testing, we test both temperatures and sound levels, and we use the AIDA64 system stability test. So here are the results of that test. As we come to the end here, just like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm really surprised this case isn't known about more. I mean, it has literally everything that you would want in a mid-tower case. Inside, you have room for extended ATX motherboards, long graphics cards. It supports 5 hard drives out of the box with the ability to add 5 more, which is just awesome. If you wanted to do a crazy storage or RAID system, you can do it in this case. Of course, you have the tempered glass side panel, but both side panels actually do have a really nice latch system that allows you to easily access your components inside. If you're doing your build or need to, add something later on, you can easily get into the case, no problem. You do get 2 included fans. And one thing I really like to see with inexpensive cases is that they are good to go out of the box. A lot of cheaper cases don't come with fans or something like that. You do get an intake and an exhaust fan, which is definitely nice to see on this case. The RGB element in the front is nice. And again, it's not crazy RGB in your face. It's like kind of sleek and sophisticated, and the controller is built into the case. So if you did have a system that didn't support RGB on the motherboard, you can control the RGB with the controller on the case. But of course, you can route it through to your motherboard and control it with your motherboard's RGB software. Yeah, there's just, like I said, you have room for water cooling. You can do a 360 in the front, 360 up top if you really wanted to. I mean, this case really has everything. There's not something on this case at its price point where I'm like, they could have done something different. I think for its price, it is an excellent case. And like I said, it's a case that everybody is overlooking. Now, if you have any questions about this case, go ahead and leave it in the comment section below. And I'll have links below where you can go ahead and pick the case up. Yeah, that is the end. I really like this case. I don't know why it's talked about more, but if you did enjoy this video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up, and we'll see you guys in the next video.